Hey folks, welcome back, another Opponent Master video, and today we're going to go over the new units this month, right, and just go over, some of the grids, LuckySkills, team comps, all that stuff, right? So, starting off, we got SC Lillie over here, right? SC Lillie, Special Costume Lillie, and Polteageist. So, this is a support, right? This is a support, and it's a really great support, actually, I think, and it's a special support mainly. It's special support. The HP is actually not that great, but you do have good defenses. You have very, very good special defenses, right? Especially, you also have X special defense all, right? So she can definitely be a very, very, powerful special defensive tank, at least. Got potions for that as well. Astonish is one of my favorite moves in the game, right? 1 gauge, 30% chance flinch. It's a very, very efficient, good move, right? And then you have its Tea Time, which is your training move, which raises special attack of all icing pairs by 2, and then it applies. This should be gradual healing to all icing pairs. Oh no. This is yeah, it should be gradual healing, right? And then activates 1 random effect. So these random effects can be Ghost Zone. Ghost Zone does only have like a 5% chance of happening, but there's also stuff like you could also activate special shields, physical shield. Right, I think crit shield too, move gauge acceleration. Move gauge acceleration will be a very, very good one to have because of the fact that your speed is not the best. It's not like terrible, but it's not crazy either, right? And also you don't have other ways of really helping your team speed-wise, right? So move gauge acceleration would actually be really, really good to get over here. And there's also the drop thing, right? And then your sync move doesn't do anything. You have focus group, which gives +1 crit. For a whole team, every time your Pokemon uses a move. It's only Pokemon, so it's only Astonish, right? Every time you use Astonish, +1 crit for your team. Team Fist Bump, 20% chance of healing all HP when your attack move is successful, and then Team Charge Tank, just every time you get hit by an attack move, it heals your whole team. So it's guaranteed heal every time you get hit. It's not like a big heal, it's only like a 6% something heal, right? So you're not healing a lot, but you're guaranteed to, heal every single time. So that's very good, right? So let's go into its grid. In terms of LuckySkills, you could definitely go for something like a vigilance, right? So you don't get crit. Generally, that would be that would be one of the better ones, right? So, anyways, going over grid 1 out of 5, you don't have too much here, right? Post haste is nice, right? 50% chance of raising your speed by 2 when you get hit. Because again, your speed is going to be an issue, so at least if you, improve your own speed, that helps your overall team move gauge thing anyways, right? So that's nice to have, I'd say. Astonish move gauge refresh 3 is also nice, just to get the extra move gauge refresh. And then after that, it's just, any of these stats, right? And if you need that, if you're facing something that paralyzed, then you pick up this, otherwise it's kind of whatever. And you could save some sync orbs. At 2 out of 5... you do get a few nice things. You get interference immunity up here, right? You get your potion NPR plus master healer over here as well, right? So you could definitely go over here, pick all that stuff up. You could go for static cling, 30% chance of paralyzing the opponent when you use a move as well. So you got, on top of flinching, you could also get paralysis in there. Again, interference immunity if you are facing an opponent that is trying to, throw interference stuff at you, right? That's flinch, trap, confuse, all that stuff. So pick that up if you need it, right? Probably go over here, it's a bit better. And the other option over here is having X special defense all MP refresh. So you could, if you need to max out that MP refresh for your team, then you could go for that. You could also go for the MP refresh on its Tea Time as well, so you could get the max special attack if you need that, right? Again, it really just depends on what your team needs, right? If you need to max out that special attack, if you need to max out that special defense, you go for these. Obviously, if you don't need them, then no point picking them up. You could, spend that on other stuff instead, right? And 3 out of 5, you have a lot of really, really good stuff here, right? In my opinion, the things that you should be looking for generally is to pick up this crit squad over here and all ramped up. If you're running, why? you could already, with MP refresh, you can max out your special attack here, and with focus group, you can max out the crit as well, right? I don't know. In my opinion, I think focus group is kind of bad, right? Other than, obviously, if you're doing it in Battle Villa, that's, like, free. But otherwise, right, it's because of the turns, right? If you look at that, if you need to max special attack, that's 3 turns over here if you pick up MP refresh, right? If you use all ramped up, right, that only costs you 2 turns. And if you use Crit Squad over here, the 2 turns that you use its T time gives you +2 crit, and then 1 more Astonish maxes it out, right? Instead of having to use 3 turns for this for +6 special attack, and another 3 turns for Astonish to get +3 crit, that's 6 turns, and that's past your sync, so you might, you know, have issues critting on your sync. Obviously, again, it depends on what you're supporting. If the damage dealer you're supporting has, you know, the capacity to do it itself, obviously you don't have to pick it up, but there's a lot that don't, and in those cases, obviously you want to pick these up just so it saves turns, and you could get the, you know, you need to get the max crit max. It doesn't matter how many turns it takes, as long as you could get it before your first sync, right? And to do that, it's, well, you need to complete it in 3 turns, right? Which, again, picking up those 2 does help you do that, right? As for some other stuff, aggravation depends, right? I'm not a huge fan of using it against master mode unless you have a unit on your team that needs like the flinch multipliers, right? Whether it's a Harry or you know, flinch sync thing, whatever, right? Again, interference immunity really depends on what you're facing. If they interfere a lot, then you have to do that. If not, then ignore, right? X special defense, again, depends on if your team needs that, you know, X that's max special defense. If not, again, also ignore. As for some other stuff, right? So yeah, you probably want to do that, and then you have what, 18 more, right? 18 more. You could pick up the post haste over here. You get a MP refresh on potion or the static cling, whichever one, you know, you need a bit more, right? Or again, interference immunity if you need that. Wait, I already talked about that. If you need that, but yeah, stuff like that. Revenge boost would be really nice too, but it does come at the cost of aggravation over here, right? Because that will definitely help your gauges for sure, right? For your team. But yeah, again, it really again all depends on what you're trying to use, right? If you need to max out that special defense because either the opponent's special attacks are very, you know, powerful, right? Or you have someone that needs special defense multipliers, and you go over there. Otherwise, I'd say go for some of the move gauge stuff, right? Stuff like, again, post haste. Again, aggravation is really good, but mostly I'd say it's for more so legendary arena, right? You want aggravation more than, you know, again, something like a master mode, unless it's multipliers and stuff. And if you do give up on aggravation, you could definitely, you know, for some other stuff like revenge boost and post haste, that would basically solve a lot of your move gauge issues, right? So anyways, in terms of team comps, we generally don't really talk about team comps for supports. It's just whichever special damage dealer you need, you know, Polteageist for, you run into that team, right? Polteageist, again, might have a bit of an issue running dual, you know, damage dealer comps, unless you go pick up some of these move gauge stuffs that would help. So anyways, all right, now let's talk about shiny, I almost said shiny Mallow, shiny Tsareena and SC. So I keep on trying to call it Mallow, oh my god. Anyways, so she's a striker. She's a grass physical striker, so that's the basics. In terms of her stats, right, her attack's not very good, her speed's not that great either, right? But she has a lot of multipliers, so that does definitely make up for a lot of that, right? So you have Razor Leaf and Power Up. If you're wondering why is it 3 gauge, why is it 4 gauge, it's because you have Hit the Cast 5, which increases the gauge by 1, but also gives an extra 50% more power, which is actually very good, right? That's actually makes it really much more powerful. And then you have X attack over here, and then your trainer move, which gives accuracy +2, raise your crit by 3, and then raises your physical move up next by 1, which gives your next, you know, physical hit an extra 40% damage boost over there, right? And then your sync move is a pretty standard non-mega physical sync. And then you also have Power Flux 9, which the more gauge you have, right, when the moves are selected, right, the more it powers up your moves. This is just basically, it's powerful, since it's Power Flux 9, just 9 times however many gauges, right? However many gauges you had when you selected the move. So if it's 6 gauges, then it's an extra 54% boost. If it's master mode 4 gauges, then it's 36% boost, right? So yeah, make sure you know, just wait till you have the most gauges when you pick this, or when you attack. And the sync power flux, same thing except for you know, sync. Anyways, pretty straightforward damage dealer, right? You need +2 attack, right? You have your max crit. You have accuracy for your power whip, right? You do cost a bit more gauges. You are a bit slow. And your damage, you do more damage the more gauges you have, basically, for this unit. In terms of lucky skill, I'd say crit strike 2. You know, it is a damage dealer, right? I'm not a huge fan of Weather Warrior 3 on her because I'm not a huge fan of running her in Sun. We'll talk about that a bit more once we get into the grid. So, anyways, looking at the grid, we have, well, pick up some power-up stuff, right? Attack, speed, that's about it. Unless you want to use her as AoE damager, then Razor Leaf instead, I guess, right? But, yeah, then you can save your orbs. At 2 out of 5, let's see, you have Lock on Sync, which is actually really nice, because, you know, if you use your trainer move, you already get accuracy, so that's just, like, basically a free 30% extra boost on your sync, right? What else we have? Insult to Injury would be nice if you have a way of debuffing the opponent's defense. So if you only have 2 out of 5, I guess run like a Nanu or a Kukui to debuff the opponent's defense or something, right? Or I don't even know what else we have. A Bisharp, right? All that stuff. Let's see. And then after that, move gauge refresh on Power Whip. Probably again, you know, more gauges is always good with not Mallow. Tsareena. And then just pick up some power ups, and then you're good, basically. Speed, attack. There we go. Moving on to 3 out of 5 is where you get obviously your full grid over here. Furious Brawn is really good. This is just easy 30% onto your damage, right? Because you want to max out your physical attack anyway. So almost any kind of build you want this, right? So you want to pick up Furious Brawn over here. There's a few ways to build her, whether you want her, you know, as a EX sync nuker, just a one-shot a master mode stage, or a more consistent damage dealer, right? So yeah, as for a sync nuke, you probably want Furious Brawn. You want Haymaker over here, lock it on sync, a sync with power up over here, sync with power up over here, and then maybe you know, something like that, right? You could Berserker is an option to pick up if you don't want to run like a physical attack support on your team, right? But otherwise, just run that physical attack support. Yeah, this is very good. Another option for, I guess, a bit of a, you know, maybe you're fighting a longer battle, right? Want more consistent damage. I'd say try going for down here defense crush and insult to injury, because every, you know, single hit, it's a guaranteed defense debuff over here, right? So that's definitely going to be good. And then insult to injury, the more defense the opponent's lowered, you get more you know, damage boost. And for this one, I guess you'd mostly be using this for a I guess fully like DPS sort of build, right? If you're not going for that sync again. Where is it? Outside of that, I'd say something like maybe move gauge refresh for the extra gauges, or twofer, right? Actually, twofer's just better. Never mind. than the move gauge refresh, right? So you could pick up that stuff. If you want a bit of both, I'd say you could maybe drop insult to injury over here, keep the defense crush, and you could get, let's see, can we afford something like that? No, we can't. So maybe something like that to get Haymaker in here, Furious Brawn, and then defense crush as well. So this is a bit of a, again, hybrid mix of both sinking and doing, you know, damages more so for something like a legendary arena, I'd say, right? So do something like that. So anyways, yeah, that's the different kinds you go for. Again, I'm not a huge fan of any of the sun stuff, right? Because they're all in really like awkward places to really pick up, right? And it's just like stuff like a lot of these are just better, right? To pick up than going down here, because this is only a 50% buff. This is a 30% buff, which is really nice, right? But again, it's, well, for one, you need Sun, two, you need to go all the way down here. But again, if I were running a Sun team, I guess you could go and pick these up, right? Go there with Speeding Sun. It's just that, again, I just don't think it's really worth it, right? Because, like, yeah, this gives you 50% more, but you're missing out on this 30% over here, and then another sync move power up. No, so I'm not really, I'm not a huge fan of this. Don't think it's really worth it. I guess Speeding Sun is nice, but otherwise, so yeah, that's for the grid wise. Let's look at some team comps. All right, first looking at a, I guess, dual grass type damage dealer comp. Right over here, you have Tsareena over here with Escavalier also, both being physical, right? With Tsareena having the ability to debuff the opponent's defenses. That's obviously going to help Erica as well, as she's also physical damage dealer. And then over here you have Caitlyn with Sableye, just to give the team speed, right? Because you do need speed if you want to run, 2 damage dealers like this, right? And also max out, their well, at least Sonia's physical attack over here, right? She can also tank, do all that good stuff. And yeah, just that's pretty standard. Obviously over here you could swap it with something like maybe like a Skyla. If you have Skyla EX, you could EX Skyla, use her use her Fanfare 2 to max out her physical attack as well. That's another option. Or something like a Hilbert or Scyther if you have that one, right? Just something that could buff at least 2 physical attack, right? At least +2 physical attack and speed, right? Or any ways of other move gauge acceleration would be nice over here, right? Again, you could swap this for like any of the other grass types. You could do Brendan as well. Obviously with Brendan, you don't have to worry about a support for Brendan at all. Just some speed, so you max out everyone's speed stuff. What else? What other grass types do we have? Also, Groudon's a really good one, because Groudon also gives master passive for SC Sonia over here, right? So that she gets the extra physical damage bonus, because she's a physical damage healer, right? So Groudon would also be nice. Obviously, he also has the Solar Beam. What else do we have? Decidueye's also physical, so you could take advantage of the defense debuffs from SC Sonia over there, right? Roserade is Roserade. Roserade is a bit difficult because you have to consider a support for both of them, right? Physical and special, right? So you'd have to go for something like Faulkner, right? Something like that, Sawyer, etc. If you get the MP refreshes. And yeah, I guess Venusaur is another option, but again, Venusaur, same thing with Roserade. You do need to figure out someone to buff, Venusaur's special attack on top of that extra +2. I mean, in those case scenarios, you can probably just bring a special, completely special support, and then just pick up Berserker over here, so you can max that out without a physical support, right? I think that's probably a better option over there. So yeah, I guess those are some team comp options for Mallow and not Mallow, SC Sonia and Chinese Tsareena over there. All right, moving on to SC Ingo and Accelgor, right? I think that's how I pronounce it. So this is Bug Zone's header, right? And that's basically mostly what it does. It doesn't really do too much else, right? It has a lot of speed, which is nice, right? And then it sets Bug Zone. Yeah, there it is. Bug Wish. Bug Wish sets Bug Zone, right? Obviously powers up bug type moves by quite a bit, which is very, very good. And then you have Quick Attack, which is just like a quick move. You can only use it 3 times, unfortunately. It doesn't cost you any gauges, but you can only use it 3 times. Power's actually not bad, because Quick Attack is a normal move, but since it does have Bug Shift, right, it keeps the base power of it being a normal move, right? Which is, normal moves generally get a slightly higher base power than other type moves, because it's normal, right? So it's actually not terrible, right, for the 3 quick attacks that you could throw out there. Infestation traps the opponent, don't do anything else, and then Coming Through, which raises user evasion by 2, and then raises active evasion of all out of sync pairs by 1 stat ranks. This is not very useful. I mean, no, it's just straight up not useful. Like, even if you're looking at like some units, oh, this unit has like an evasion or accuracy multiplier. Okay, it's only +1. Max +2, not gonna really get you anywhere. Right. Unless you try to top someone off. Anyways, the sync move multiplier is increased when the opponent is trapped, right? So you actually do have a pretty nice sync, since you are a tech, right? And then passive Team Violet Haste raises the, well, this should be speed of all allied sync pairs by 1 when the user's Pokemon or trainer uses a status move, right? Status move over here being, well, yeah, Bug Wish over here, right? And then you also have Coming Through, which should work, right? Because it says Pokemon or Trainer, right? So you do have that team speed buff and defense crush 9 every time you attack the opponent. Those debuff their defenses. So if you're trying to summarize what Ingo does, it sets Bug Wish. It's very fast, right? Speed wise for your team, all that stuff. Can debuff the opponent's defenses and gives a slight accuracy evasion buff and then traps your opponent. So yeah. Moving on, in terms of what lucky skill you want, probably Crit Strike 2, because it does have a very, very good Sync Nuke, right? So I'd say Crit Strike 2, and also nothing else, nothing really else you want to really run on him, honestly. So, anyways, looking at the grid, starting from 1 out of 5, yeah, you have nothing. You have straight up nothing. I guess you pick up some speed, like quick attack power-ups maybe, an attack plus 10, maybe. I know it's only 3 quick attacks, but like... hit a bit more for 3 hits, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, you basically have nothing at 1 out of 5. If you want to just save your orbs and just like not use it on him at all, that's fine too, because you're not missing out on much. 2 out of 5, however, you do have some stuff, right? But it's still like, you have your MP for some quick attack, so you could hopefully hit more than 3 quick attacks, right? Make that worth a bit. Worth a bit more. You have you have nothing really else. I'm not a huge fan of Poketrap. It's not that big of a deal unless like there's one like specific opponent that's like really susceptible to trap damage, then sure, maybe, right? But otherwise it's a trap. it's a trap. But you know what? Now that I think about it, like you have nothing else to really pick up anyway, so like I guess why not? Pick up stationary target, extra 30% if the opponent's trapped. Again, your only damage dealing move is like quick attack, really, so it's like, yeah. What else? I guess you could do the insect acceleration too. It's all this stuff is overkill, right? You don't really need that much speed. Like there really isn't that team that needs this much speed. But also you don't have too much else to pick up. You can pick up some attacks, some quick attack power-ups, I guess, but other than that, yeah, his 2 out of 5 grid is actually kind of whatever as well. So 3 out of 5 grid / max grid, right? Here's where you get your good nuke stuff. You have your blind spot over here, which is your big, nuke thing. Actually, is it worth going through here to get that extra? No, it's not worth. You don't need that speed. Come on. So you have your big nuke thing over here. You have your defense crush over here, which is actually really nice as well, right? So instead of taking 6 turns to debuff the opponent's defense, you could only, with quick attack only takes 3 turns. So that's actually really, really nice, I'd say. What else? I guess follow through if you don't want to run a crit support for him, because he doesn't have he doesn't have any offensive buffing moves for himself, right? So yeah, there's that. Unfortunately, Relentless over here, right? So again, he does have a really, really nice sync nuke. So you could run this if you're just going for like a full damage, sync nuke sort of build on whatever this thing's called again, Ingo, right? So you could do that if you want. What else? If you don't, you want to run him as a more of a Bug Wish support-ish thing, you could do that as well, right? If you're not syncing with him. Which in this case, I mean, you'd still want something like a quick attack defense crush over here. So you get Bug Wish NPR over here for, I guess, more bug wishes, longer bug wishes. What's the correct term? Anyways, whatever. And you don't really have to pick up anything else that much. Again, if you want some extra little bit of damage here and there, you go for stuff like stationary target. Just do a bit more damage, right? Just do a bit more damage would be nice. MP refresh on quick attacks, so you get more quick attacks in there as well. Follow through if you're not running a crit support for him, right? If not, then maybe insect acceleration, I guess, right? But yeah, there's not too much to run for him if you're just running him as a support-ish, right, over there. Moving on to some team comps. Alright, so for team comps, obviously the big one is, well, his brother, because the game made the brothers work very, very well together. In fact, they made them work so well together that Ingo honestly doesn't work as well with any other bug types outside of Emmet. But they do work very, very well together. So if you want to run them together, you probably just run them, and then probably something like a Sonia or Sonia's probably best. I mean, well, Sonia's the best, like, one of the best supports, period. So, Sonia or any other physical buffing support, right? So you could buff both their attacks and crit, right? If you're what? Can't Emmet buff his own attack? Yeah, but you don't want to. You want to use those 3 turns for, like, iron defense instead, right? Because that's more efficient. And just have someone else buff his physical attack, right? So you could 3 turns get full multipliers and all that stuff. And yeah, and then also again to buff the attack and crit for Ingo, because he can't do it himself either. So you get that, you know, really sweet sync nuke setup. Get a few solid, maybe quick attacks in as well, right? So that'd also be nice. But yeah, Sonya also helps with the defense debuffs, because you could only really get, you know, 3 hits in before your nuke, right? Or 3 turns in for your nuke, so you can only get like 2 quick attacks in, and then you have to, because you have to set bug zone, right? You still have to set bug zone. So yeah, if you want the max multipliers for him. But yeah, outside of again, just any other physical support, Hilbert, Scyther, the Bugsy Scyther, not the other Egg Scyther or whatever. What else? Just the physical supports that also buff crit. You know what they are. I don't know why it's escaping my mind right now. Hilbert, Sonia, Scyther, something. I don't know. Marowak, if you really want, right? But yeah. Lieutenant Surge Raichu, Hop, Zamazenta, right? Those guys. And yeah, outside of Escavalier, obviously you could use the other bug types as well. Most of them are special, so you really can't completely benefit from Accelgor, unfortunately. Stuff like Livani is special, right? Pheromosa is special. Volcarona is special, right? So for those teams, it's kind of weird. Like, Volcarona's fine, because Volcarona can max out his own, you know, special attack, all that stuff, so you could really just throw in anything, right? Over here, you could just have, let's see, you could throw in Alder, and then over here, you could still keep the physical attack support for Ingo if you want, right? Just to, you know, if you're trying to nuke with Ingo. Or I guess you could find an option who could, you know, debuff for Alder a bit, because Alder does have the overpower multiplier over here, right? So like a Dawn Barrier or something, right? That could take a few hits, also debuff the opponent, like Viola, stuff like that. If you want to mostly just focus on Alder's damage and like ignore Ingo. So yeah, that's another option. As for Pheromosa and Livani, you might want to go with something that buffs both, something like a Marowak that could buff both physical and special, as well as crit, or again Falconer that also does that, right? Maybe for Livani, Lyra, so you could also get Sun if you want for Livani, right? And then, is there anything else? I guess you could run it with Goliathspot too. Goliathspot's just not very good. He is physical though, so he definitely does benefit from the physical defense debuffs. But he is self-sufficient, so you just need someone to buff Ingo if you're running, I guess, Guzma. So yeah, that's for Ingo, I guess. Alright, moving on to the last one, we have special costume Emmet and Escavalier over here, right? So he's a physical striker, pretty straightforward. I'm here to do damage, right? And if you look at stats, actually really good attack stat over here, right? So that's really nice. You're not very good in the speed department, unfortunately, which does slightly suck because of the fact that not only is your speed not good, you also have a 4-gauge move, right? Your defenses are not that great. Your HP is okay, right? But yeah, the defenses, you do have iron defense to buff your defense, but I wouldn't really tank with them. I mean, I guess you can if you really want, but it would be, you definitely don't want to really actually unironically tank with them against stuff like a full offensive master mode. Maybe if it's like full HP, should be fine, right? But just be careful with that, I guess. Swords Dance buffs your attack, and then you have Safety First, which gives you a move gauge acceleration to the field of play, which that definitely helps fixing with this and this, right? There's your accuracy by 2, and then it gives you, I'm pretty sure this should be physical move up next, right? Let me double check. Oh yeah, it's super effective up +1, and then physical, it gives you super effective up next, and then physical move up next by 1, which is really, really good, right? So moving on, your sync move doesn't do anything. It's just a regular non-mega, you know, base power physical bug sync, right? As for your passives, yeah, critical affliction raises your crit by 1 when your Pokemon or trainer uses a status move, right? So that's, you know, iron defense, sword stance, whatever, right? Safety first. Mighty affliction raises your what by should be physical move up next, right? Physical move up next by 1 when your user uses status move. It's only a 30% chance, but you know that's really nice as well. Rising Tide, the more your stats are raised, the more it powers up your sync moves overall. So he's actually a really powerful striker, I'd say, right? Really nice kid. Everything flows good together, right? So anyways, moving on. In terms of the lucky skills, should definitely be Crit Strike 2. It's his damage healer. It's pretty straightforward, right? Alright, let's go into its grid then. So as for the grid, you have Snow Shelter for some reason at 1 out of 5. You have nothing really much. Just pick up the Mega Horn stuff, maybe some speed here and there, right? Some speed here, some attack here, some speed here, and then you're good. Unless you want like Headstrong, the opponent's, you know, debuffing your attack for some reason, I guess, right? And Snow Shadow / Sand Shadow if you're ever running him in weather, which I don't know why you would. Moving on, you at 2 out of 5 have Bronze Sync, which is nice, right? It's you know, just 20% on your sync. When your attack is raised, really easy to get, right? Get Mega Horn over there, Mega Horn move gauge refresh over there as well, right? As for some other stuff, let's see, maybe Iron Defense Shielding Strikes, I guess, you know, only 2 turns of using Iron Defense, but you're not, you know, you don't really have the multiplier here, so, because the big multipliers are over here, right? There's Tough Cookie, right? Tough Sync, so there's really no point. I don't know, 2 out of 5, just pick some Mega Horn power-ups, I guess. You don't really need the accuracy, honestly. Some speed again. Attack, speed. You go for Sharp Entry. It saves you a turn, right? So maybe drop that, go for Sharp Entry. What else? No Shell Down Betting, Vigilance. Yeah, there's all this other stuff is whatever. Unless you're like Vigilance, if you're fighting something that like has like guaranteed crit, and you're worried about that, but otherwise, yeah, I guess that's 2 out of 5. Yeah, his 2 out of 5 grid is also not very good. Most of his grid comes at 3 out of 5, right? He is a pretty 3 out of 5 grid heavy unit, right? I'd say. So we have Tough Sync, Bronze Sync, right? Both of them over here. If you are using him to sync, do keep in mind that's where they are, right? You have Sword Stance Charging Infliction, which is whatever. Berserker on Sword Stance. This is a lot of Sword Stance stuff on this side, and then Tough Cookie is where you want to get to, right? Tough Cookie is down there, so pick it up somehow, right? It's slightly it's slightly expensive, but it's good. Extra 30%, right? What else? You want the Mega Horn move gauge refresh probably. The Sync move power up. Actually, maybe not if you want to pick that up instead. Yeah, we can't really afford both. Never mind. You just go for one. We can't afford both, right? No, we can't. No, we can't. No, we can't. We're -1 in that. Oh well then. Just pick up the move gauge refresh over here, and then maybe, you know, Mega Horn power up here and there if you want. But otherwise, yeah, that's I guess the 3 out of 5 grid, right? I'm not a huge fan of stuff like Shielding Strikes or Berserker over here, because I mean it's like it turns your 3 turns into 2 turns, which is not bad, but like it's not like you really need to do anything else. Like, okay, you have your train move, I guess, right? So I don't know. I'm just a fan of just run a support there to max it out instead, right? Just run a support to max it out instead. So yeah, because again, there's just a lot of really nice stuff that you want to pick up, unless you're not syncing with him. If you're not syncing with him, then for sure pick these up, right? Because I think these are probably the next best things to pick up, right? So although you only really have to pick it up because the other thing, the other stat you'd probably just want to max out with like a support, right? Definitely. But yeah, something like this if you're going with that. And I guess Sharp Entry if you're not running a crit support, right? So you can do that. Although again, it doesn't really matter because you can max it out. Anyways, buy yourself regardless. But yeah, if you're not doing that, maybe just some Mega Horn power-ups here and there, right? Yeah, you don't have too much if you're not really sinking, because he does get a decent amount of stuff from sync. That's what, 50%, all that stuff, because he is a really good sinker for striker, right? So that's definitely a upside that you could use if you want to do that. So anyways, let's go to some team comps. So first team comp, if it's good for Ingo, it's good for Emmet, right? They're basically built, you know, to run together, right? Ingo sets you the bug zone, that gives you extra 50% on all your hits, gives you the extra, you know, speed, which is really nice, gives you the defense debuffs, and then Sonia also gives, you know, could give defense debuffs, the move gauge acceleration, and obviously the physical attack buffs if you're running, and defense buffs as well, right? So yeah, she's basically perfect. But you know, outside of Sonia, obviously there's other options like a Hilbert maybe, right? Skyla if you don't care about Ingo doing any damage, although Ingo's sync is very good, right? But yeah, those are some options. Your run-the-mill physical supports. Hop's really good too, because Hop could also max out his defense and attack, so you don't have to worry about Iron Defense or Sword Stance or whatever, right? So you can just, you know, skip those. And yeah, you're again, stuff like Scyther, stuff like BP, Lieutenant Surge, all that stuff is good. If you're not running him in Bug Zone, that's fine too, right? That's fine. You can run him with some other bug type damage as long as you have enough move gauge over here. Something like a Sonia would be really, really helpful for that. But otherwise, I don't know. Just if you're pull for Emmet, pull for Ingo. They just run really, really well. I mean, you just run the mill, whatever physical strikers or other damage deals you want in the second slot. If you want to run dual damage deals like versus off type, I guess another option could be something like a Annie Raihan, right? Just to give you the extra, you know, physical move up next, the extra super effective up next, something like a Palatine's B, same principles there, right? So anyways, that's me on this one. I guess hope you all enjoyed. Guys, think in the comments down below, like, share this video, subscribe, channel, some more comments, I'll see you guys in the next one then.